Welcome to the Sex, Money, and Real Estate Podcast, the show for real estate couples about how to close more deals in the bedroom. My name is Nancy Jameson.
And I'm Bill Jameson.
And each week we deep dive into juicy, intentional, sexy conversations, sharing with you what it takes to create balance in your intimate relationships and your real estate business. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, baby.
Hey, baby.
What's happening? Hot stuff.
I'm telling you, this is great. We got a whole new setup here. We got a new couch, new mic positions, new camera.
I like it.
Awesome us.
Pointing at the camera.
And
hopefully you're on YouTube watching this thing.
Yeah, very cool. So yes, we're here and we're doing it. We're doing it. How are you being?
I am great. Thank you. It has been a great morning so far. After a little bit of a topsy-turvy night last night. You are the only one on Lucas, I guess. You and Lucas slept in your own beds, and then Rex fell asleep in our bed, and then I thought that was cute, and let Rex sleep there, and then I went and slept in Rex's bed. And needless to say, I'm actually a little tired today.
Yeah, and then he got up at like 4 or 5 or whatever to go sleep in his bed, and then he ended up sleeping on the couch.
Right. So anyway,
such is life.
Here we are, and
it's awesome.
It is awesome. So, in case you were wondering, after all this, welcome to Sex, Money, and Real Estate.
Yes, absolutely. I'm Nancy,
and I'm Bill Jameson.
And this is the show that gives realtors permission to have uber successful businesses, and of course, believe and have permission that they can have an equally or more successful intimate relationship, just like they have in their uber successful business.
Yes.
So we call that the J.A.M, the joyous, abundant, mature relationships. And you know, the J.A.M all starts with you. So you're in the right place. So we appreciate you being here. We are agents and we are coaches, and this podcast is a very intentional way for us to share our stories and our resources and our experiences for other mega real estate agent couples to increase their emotional and financial peace. So again, thank you so much for being here. We are eternally grateful, and we are definitely on the journey with you in the trenches, living the life.
Yes.
And thank you.
All the greatness and all the opportunities all swirl together, and here we are sharing them with you. So
yes.
Awesome. Well, we should kick off every episode with a little bit of magic.
We sure do.
You know, the way that we have influenced ourselves, others, our lives in an empowering way.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, you know, what blessings have bestowed you lately this week? What magic?
This week we had one of our closings that I specifically want to talk about is, you know, an amazing client, longtime client, and done multiple transactions with us. And this plays into perfectly what we are about to talk about today. They closed on a house, and the purchase price was $10,000 above list, and they closed for cash.
Oof.
And so when you're talking about somebody buying a house with cash, it's like, that's serious. So this particular closing was $575,000 and they closed in cash. And so it was a super quick closing, super quick due diligence, you know,
Nice.
very short timelines, clearly, because there's no contingencies. And it was very easy. And I really appreciate the buyers.
Yeah, I get it.
On that one. And then, you know, I mean, as the listing agent, it's great. It was so great. And then for our guys to experience a quick closing and everything, and just be in and out really in 2.5 weeks. It was extraordinary. So,
and kudos to them for, you know, listening and staging the house, and, you know, doing a few of the things that we asked to help.
Oh, they did all the things.
Bolster things along. Yeah.
They did all the things, which is actually a funny comment, because as you were taking them out to buy the new house that they were moving into, one of her comments was, Nancy would never let this house go to market.
That's been said on several occasions since we're doing the sell buy with these guys. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it was beautiful. So I just really appreciate them, and then, frankly, our attention to detail as well on the list side. So that's my magic.
Awesome. Yes. My magic today, short and sweet. the boys are back in school. And it's fantastic.
Happy dance,
right?
Happy dance.
And it's been a great summer. Don't get me wrong.
It's been an amazing summer, and the boys are back in school.
Right, exactly.
Ooh. Parents everywhere are like, oh, we get you. We totally get you.
Mm-hmm.
Aunties and uncles everywhere were like, yes, we totally get you.
Mm-hmm.
Grandparents, maybe not so much.
Not so much, right? Exactly. But it's great to have them back in school.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't excited to go back to school necessarily, I think there was an underlying excitement to go back to school and do something different and, have a different experience.
Yeah, scheduled a lot more kids.
Yep.
They go to an amazing school with amazing opportunities. And, they've been back in school in 3 days. And already Rex has 2 overnight trips planned, one to scout out colleges, gasp. And,
right.
and the other one is
the
retreat, the sophomore retreat. So he's in 10th grade this year, and Lucas just started into 7th grade. And it's super cool. So
awesome. Yeah. Cool. So baby, what are we talking about today on this podcast? What are we talking about?
What's the meat?
I got the meats.
You got the meats. So today's episode is all around sharing with you literally the exact information to communicate with your clients proactively.
Yes.
Proactively.
Yes.
Proactively leading up to showing them houses. So before you even get in the car, what are essentially the 5 don'ts of borrowing money in order to purchase a home? That's what we're talking about today.
Yes. And I'm sure that this is part of your buyer presentation to have these don'ts in there, yet not everybody wants to have these conversations with their clients because, if you're not looking money in the eyes, sometimes it's hard to look at your client and help them try to look money in the eyes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
And yet this is still a conversation that needs to be had because it's important, and we're saying this is one of many proactive conversations you get to have with your clients, along the way. But we felt like this one was important enough to, talk about today on
absolutely
on the
because these 5 don'ts of borrowing money will prohibit the closing. It'll impact the closing.
Yes.
And the majority of our clients are sell buy, meaning that they're listing their house and they're buying another one. And that generally has a cascading effect because when they're selling a house, then you're buying another one, then that seller is buying that house, and then that seller is buying another house. And so it cascades. And so if you're, our goal, of course, is to be not only the nicest agent in the transaction, but the most detail-oriented, the most organized, the most proactive, like really the agent leading the whole transaction, which again could filter out to other parts of the transaction. Yeah,
be the best agent in the deal.
For sure.
No matter what side of the deal you're on, be the best agent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And things go a lot easier.
Totally. So we're gonna get into our 5 don'ts and share with you definitely some experiences we've had along the way in the last 20 years, and it's been interesting, that's for sure. But and of course, your lender's probably going to have this conversation with your clients too, and yet you're the one who spends the most time with them in the car, on the phone, negotiating the deal, and so it's a great conversation to have with your clients. It's part of your fiduciary responsibility to have with your clients because, again, they're going to look to you as leading them, shepherding them through the whole transaction. So let's get into it. I'm going to turn this over to you because, you're the guy. Like, you're the dude.
The dude with the buyers. Yes, that's for sure.
You are the guy.
Awesome. And I do have this conversation with my clients up front. And I actually have this conversation as we're going under contract. And it may not be exactly the same words, but it's the same essence. So, the first thing I do tell them is like, do not quit your job. And we've had people do it before.
But I hate my job.
I know you do, but you must love this house a little bit more so that you will stay in your job at least until after you close on this house.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay. So stay employed.
Stay employed, yes. You may not be employed and qualified to buy the house. That's fine. I get that. We've had clients like that too.
Sure.
But yet, if you are employed and buying this house is contingent on you staying employed, then do that, right?
But what if I'm changing jobs?
Well, here's the thing about changing jobs. You can change jobs as long as the job is essentially and the pay is essentially the same. But if you're self-employed and you're selling widgets A, and then you decide that you want to be self-employed and sell widget Z, and it's a completely different business, then you're going to need at least 2 years worth of sales, 2+ years worth of sales to prove that you can sell widget Z and still qualify for a loan because you'll be consistent with what you do. And so, you can switch jobs, and you can even switch if you're working for yourself, you're self-employed, you can switch as long as it's in the same field of business. Because there's doctors, or there's all kinds of contract work these days. And as long as you're doing the same contract work, it's fine. It may require a letter from the employer or the person who has contracted you to show what your bonuses are, the pay structure, and all that kind of stuff. Yet it can be done. So, but on the whole, if you're working for somebody else and you're employed, don't quit. Not yet.
Number one. Awesome.
That was number one. Don't quit your job.
Number two,
don't buy that car or a boat or an RV or the airplane, whatever it is that you're looking to buy, the other big ticket. Yes, a house is like the biggest expense that just about anybody is going to
generally, as a whole, right?
And yet this, the second most expensive would be the car or the RV or something like that.
The boat.
And you think that if the second most expensive thing might impact your credit or your debt to earnings ratio, where you may not qualify anymore for the house that you wanted to get, or you still may qualify for a house, but instead of 700,000 is 300,000. So have that conversation. There's going to be situations that come up where you get in a car accident, right, and those things can be worked around. But generally, don't turn in your Pinto to buy the Corvette in the middle of buying a house.
It's interesting. You mentioned Corvette. We just went on a contract a couple weeks ago. The house is $625, and
that's right. That's funny. Yes,
we're in contract with an agent we know, and she's lovely, and she's like, my buyer cannot buy your listing any longer. And I'm like, whatever do you mean? And she's like, that joker just bought a Corvette and we just found out about it. So he went from 625 to below 500,000. Clearly, obviously two different price points. Totally. And I was like, well, I hope he likes living in his car. I hope he doesn't have a family. But anyway, so yes, it does drastically impact I've got quite a few car stories. I've been at the closing table before, and we're not even closed on the property yet, and the on the listing side,
right?
And he's buying with us as well, him and his wife.
I kind of remember that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, I just went and bought a car this morning, and I kicked him under the table." It's like, shut up,
right?
Don't say that. Your lender is sitting next to you.
Yep, you got lucky because a lot of times they verify things that morning,
right? That morning. So. Well, right. Thankfully, he, they had superb credit and a lot of reserves, and, cash in the bank and that kind of stuff. And I was like, dear God.
Right. So
again, one of those trickle, it was trickling because there was this cascading effect on all of the other parties. So yeah, that's probably, that one and then the next one are definitely.
Oh, don't use credit cards or be late on any payments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those credit cards they're interesting. They'll impact you in ways that you don't even, the general consumer doesn't know about. We know about it because we're in the business, right? And we hear about these stories and things like that. Using a credit card more, if you use a credit card less or more than you generally use it, it's
during the home buying
process, it's going to have an impact.
Yeah. And it is. It's a double-edged sword because you need, from the credit standpoint, you need the trade lines, you need the consistent payments, you need that like that debt to income
it's
earnings.
like a dance, right?
I mean, it is. It's this. Yes, exactly. And you spend a little too much money, or you're like that late payment deal. That's a big one.
That is a big one. It definitely impacts. And so does number 4, which is don't apply for any other credit cards.
So again,
I've seen it too.
Oh my gosh.
I had clients a couple of years ago where, they were excited because they're getting a house and they're going out to buy all the stuff that they're going to buy for their new house to have new decorations and new furniture and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And they opened up credit cards. And not only did they open up credit cards, they opened up store credit cards, which have even a bigger impact,
like Target.
Like Target or
Macy's or
Yeah, they have a bigger impact.
Mm-hmm. And Z Gallery. Yeah, I mean all those guys. Oh my gosh. Rooms to go.
Yeah, even applying for the card will impact. So don't apply for cards. And here's the other thing that people don't realize is don't close them out either.
Yeah. It's part of the dance.
It's part of the dance. Don't close them out because closing out a credit card negatively affects your credit.
Mm-hmm. So what we share with our clients is we'll say, yes, we get it. You're very excited to buy those new things and get the 10% off at the Home Depot or get the 10% off at Lowe's or Target or wherever you're buying all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yet it's a trip on the way home after the closing is finished.
Right.
It's after the closing. So make your list, do your shopping, create the shopping cart, if you will. However, do not open anything. Do not close anything. Don't do anything abnormal. Just stay very intentional with your credit and where your credit is, please.
Yes.
Please.
And then number 5, don't spend your freaking savings. I mean, just don't. Cash reserves are a big deal to lenders. They want to see that you have cash reserves. You have enough cash to put money down on the place, and that you have enough reserves where if you get into trouble, you can still make a couple of payments before having to make any other adjustments. They want to know that you have stability of, some semblance of stability in your life. And if your savings are going up and down, and it's not explained, because what'll happen is, on the other side of things, they'll have a bunch of they'll have some savings, and then they'll get help with the down payment, and all of a sudden their savings goes up, like by $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, and the lender's like, what the heck, because it's and this is on the other end of it, but and then you have to get a letter that says explaining. And the bank, and not only your bank account now has to be explained, but now your mother-in-law's bank account has to be explained so that they can connect the dots, right? And so now you're even bringing in other third parties into the deal.
Yeah.
Where it's if you're qualified up front, cool, and if it's part of the plan, cool, but make sure you have those conversations with your lender. And on the other side of it, if those accounts go down, they decrease, then you're going to be negatively affected as well. And then you're going to have to replenish it. And then you're going to bring in your mother-in-law again and, blah, 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 the cascading effect. So just here's what we're saying about the don'ts, the do's and don'ts of borrowing money to purchase a house. Keep everything status quo, please. Unless you're working with a lender who's advising you to do something very specific to
in your favor
to create more ease in the process.
Yeah.
We have a couple of lenders that we work with, and one of them Allison is very specific about, okay, we'll pay this one off, but don't close it.
Yeah.
And pay off a certain percentage of this one, but don't, so that she can tweak your numbers and get you the best interest rate and all that kind of stuff. And she's amazing.
Yeah.
But not all lenders are going to be as thorough. And if they're not, then I advise you that you go have some coffees with some new lenders and
shop lenders
and find one or two that you can really count on. So,
yep. Awesome. Yeah. So 2 to 3 months worth of savings, 6 months worth of savings. What do you recommend?
It just depends on the program. Okay. It's just going to depend on the program.
Okay.
Every lender's different. Some are going to be 3 and some are going to be 6.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
So,
Well, and then, just speaking what you were talking about before about the percentages, according to the consumerfinances.gov website,
yes.
the magic number for debt to income ratio
Yes.
is 43%. As of last month, which is great. That's the magic number.
Okay, 43%.
Yep.
Debt
Which,
to income.
Again, debt to income ratio is the percentage of a consumer or a buyer's monthly gross income that goes towards paying debts.
Got it.
Yes.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And it may not just be for you. It could be for anybody that's listening. What other preemptive conversations do you have with your clients?
Yeah, for sure.
So
proactive conversations are, it's either side. It's all the time, whether it's buyers or sellers. It's all about setting expectations. So,
well, we'll put it out there and see if anybody out there wants to let us know what other preemptive conversations they have. I like to hear about them for sure.
Best practices. Yep, because we're all in this together, and it's all about being in service to others and really creating an amazing house buying experience or house selling experience, because we're all in it together.
Yes. Yes, we are. Cool. Awesome. And you know what? It might lead to us redoing our buyer package as well.
So, updating it for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that's what I got today. That was
awesome.
Easy in and out and important all at the same time.
For sure.
It's awesome. So if y'all have any questions or want to talk about other proactive conversations, reach out to Nancy or me at sexmoneyrealestate@gmail.com.
Yes.
Or just Google us. We'll come up all over the webs for sure. And you can call, email, direct message, and we'll be sure to get back to you. For sure. So this and many other topics are, just a few of the things that we cover on in our coaching. So we'd love to talk to you about it for sure.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks.
We'll see you on the flip side.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Love you. Wow, what a show. Thank you so much for listening. If you're inspired, we ask that you share the podcast with one person and subscribe and follow our show. I'm Nancy Jameson.
And I'm Bill Jameson.
And remember, it's a great life.
Woo!
Quick note about the Sex, Money, and Real Estate podcast. We are not doctors or licensed therapists. We are a joyous, abundant, and mature couple passionately sharing our story of growth around sex, money, and real estate. Our thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are our own, so please consult your doctor, healthcare provider, or your broker regarding any questions or issues you have related to your physical or mental health or specific state laws regarding your real estate business.